Oh my gosh, that was going a quarter mile at a time.
That's how I live life.
Quarter mile. What's the quote? I live my life.
Hi, listener.
A quarter mile at a time.
I live my life a quarter pounder at a time.
Yeah, you do.
We are going to be reviewing F9: The Fast Saga.
Can we just call it Fast 9 or Furious 9?
Okay, can I just one more time, if I may? I want to look up.
Are you going to go through the titles?
Yes.
Oh boy,
all 9.
I bet you I can name them all.
Okay, Zach, without looking at the internet.
Okay,
go.
Mind you, I have not seen most of these. Okay, so we have the first one is The Fast and the Furious.
Correct.
It does have.
Then we have Too Fast, Too Furious
with the number
2.
Yes.
Then you have Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift.
There you go.
Okay, there we go. And then that's why we have to specify, because the next movie is Fast and Furious.
Yes.
With no thes. That's the fourth one, which is kind of a soft reboot for the franchise. Then you have Fast 5.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Fast and Furious 6.
Yes.
Really?
Then Just Furious 7.
Yep, no fast in that one.
Then Fate of the Furious. This is where they're getting clever.
Is it Fate or is it F8 of the Furious?
It's just The Fate of the Furious.
Oh.
The Fate of the Furious.
Okay.
Oh, there's does in this one. I did not know that. And
Alternately known as F8.
Then there is the super clever F9.
But
Fast
you missed
and
the spin-off.
Furious. That's right. Hobbs and Shaw.
Fast and Furious
Furious story.
No, it's Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw.
It's like Masterpiece Theater presents Hobbs and Shaw.
The thing that bugs me is it could be Fast
I'm
and Furious.
Shelley Duvall.
Oh, I love that show.
That was Storytime Theater, not Masterpiece
that was Fairy Tale Theater.
That's it.
But it just drives me nuts that they're like, they couldn't even do the Fast and Furious saga or the Fast Saga on Hobbs and Shaw. They had to say Fast and Furious presents. Mm-hmm. There's no naming consistency, and that bothers me.
Is there a story consistency? Let's get into the review.
Yes, because Kent is actually the only one who has seen this.
I'm really sorry, everyone.
I was gone when the screening happened. Zach was not invited. And
That's true. That's fine. I wouldn't know what's going on.
But Kent went to the screening. So for the first part here, we're going to be completely spoiler-free. So if you haven't seen F9: The Fast Saga, then you can still listen.
And Joel, Zach as well, if you guys have any questions about the story or anything else that you may have loved from previous installments, ask away. Because since I'm the only one reviewing here, I would like you to be engaged and care as much as I care about this series.
And we'll do that mostly in the spoiler.
I'm going to go get a snack.
No.
I'll be back.
No. Kind of like The Rock did in this movie because he's not around.
Because him and Vin Diesel won't be in the same room with each other? Is that
No,
what it is?
Yeah, they're fighting.
Bad blood.
So, okay, I'll read the synopsis.
The best part of the Fast franchise is the Charlie Puth song in the 7th movie.
Oh. And even that, it's just the chorus.
Fast 5 is the best thing in the series. By far.
Yeah, that's true.
What?
By far.
Fast 9?
Fast 5.
Oh, Fast 5.
Oh, yeah, I'm not giving my review for Fast 9.
I was like,
F9
you just
yet.
threw that out there like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to read the synopsis here. Cypher enlists the help of Jacob, Dom's younger brother, to take revenge on Dom and his team.
Yeah, that's all you need to know.
Yeah.
You know, the guy who's all obsessed with family had a brother you didn't know about this whole time.
We've had 8 movies where literally Vin Diesel has said family. It's a drinking game at this point.
Yeah, family.
And he has a younger sister played by Jordana Brewster in the movies who shows up randomly sometimes.
Yeah.
And obviously less now without Paul Walker in the movie.
She was married to Paul Walker.
In this one, he has a younger...
Not Paul Walker. What's his name? Brian O'Connor.
Brian O'Connor. Well done.
Thank you.
What does he drive?
Kia.
Zach, what does he drive?
Skyline.
There you go.
A Kia Skyline.
Well, in the first movie, he drives a Mitsubishi Eclipse and then a Supra, but his signature car is the Skyline.
Wait, you haven't seen all these movies, but you know what cars they drive?
Yep.
And I've seen all the movies and I don't know what cars they drive.
What does Vin Diesel drive?
Chargers, mostly. Just
mostly Chargers?
He's a Mopar guy. He likes to dodge stuff.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, Zach, like you're saying, there have been 8 movies. We haven't heard of Jacob Toretto at all. So this movie, and by the way, I'm not going to give spoilers that
Jakob.
Yes, because it's cooler.
I guess.
And he's played by...
John Cena!
There we go. John Cena.
Was he, though? I couldn't see him in the trailers.
Oh, well, he actually didn't see him in the movie.
That's a wrestling reference.
I like the people that have no idea who he is or in wrestling.
John Cena was a wrestler that would say, "You can't see me."
Yeah, he's like camouflage as a person.
He had a very obnoxious intro song that went bum, bum, bum.
Really, really aggressively
Now
loud.
we're explaining inside jokes.
Yes.
So they're funnier when you explain them, Joel.
Totally.
So this movie tries to establish the family connection. And how it does it is through flashbacks.
No.
Oh, yeah. Get ready for...
Like bad CGI
by the
flashbacks?
way, F stands for flashback in this movie.
There's 9 flashbacks?
And it's 90 minutes long. This is a 2-hour, 23-minute movie roundabout. Do you like how I give a specific number?
That long?
It's very long. These movies have got a little bit longer for the installments. They just... I don't know why. They make money regardless, but they just put so much time into it. This one tries to cram a giant story with every character from every Fast and Furious movie and make it kind of like an Easter egg, almost like an end game.
But I feel
for
like
everyone.
It sounds like it's kind of an ending, like a victory lap, if you will, in the
there you go.
card terms. But I just looked up the director, Justin Lin, who's directed basically everything since Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift.
Yes.
Tokyo Drift. But he is rumored to be directing Fast and Furious 10.
And 11.
11's been announced?
Yes. I have a feeling that they are going to they're going to keep making these because they make money, but they're going to try to close off the series with each one just in case something happens. Just in case they say, yeah, the series ended where it needed to, where truly it should have ended at 7. Truly it should have ended at 1.
Well, no, because I think it did hit its stride.
Yeah, with the
Fast 5.
Fast 5, but then when they have the scene where Brian and Dominic drive separate.
And that's in 7.
That is truly the ending of the series.
And then they take the separate road. And
Been a long time.
His weird CGI head is floating there, and they look at each other.
I mean, it's actually emotional even when you're saying CGI head.
No, I mocked most of this franchise as I was watching it. I was just relentless. Mystery Science Theater commentary the whole time as I was watching it out loud to myself because no one would watch it with me. But that moment was one of those where I went, oh no, here it comes. And I bawled like a baby. And I wasn't even attached to the franchise.
I love that you bawled.
Yeah.
It's unironically one of the best send-offs of any character in any movie ever.
I bawled more than Vin Diesel's head. Wordplay.
It's a little bit weird in this movie where Dominic's he has a son, by the way, in the series now, and he's like, Daddy's got to go to work, basically. We got to go save so-and-so because we're super spies at this point. And he sends his son to go stay with Brian.
How old is his son?
About 5.
Okay.
Yeah, and so Brian,
played by Jacob Tremblay.
Brian now is the mention where it's oh, where are the kids? With Brian. And then it's scene changes.
Because Brian retired from the game.
Yeah. This movie really wants to say, hey, you've been with us the whole franchise. Here's every character you've either loved or haven't really cared about. For example, you're going to get most of the main cast from Tokyo Drift. The main guy who's 67 now, but he was supposed to play a teenager back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in this movie and they're comic relief. You definitely have Tyrese and Ludacris who are there. With the exception of Gal Gadot or whatever, she's not in this movie because she died, even though characters that die can come back in any installment.
Yep.
And be explained somehow and be shown in the trailer promoting the movie. I don't understand why they ruined a big reveal for this movie in the trailer.
Which we're not even going to spoil it here.
I'm not going to spoil it here. But they bring back Cypher, played by Charlize Theron. They bring back the mother of Luke Evans' villain and Jason Statham's villain, played by Helen Mirren.
Yep.
And these characters show up, maybe even to phone it in or for a 2-minute clip. And that's it. They just really want to say, I need to go here to find out where this person is. And it just over-explains everything. It's a globe-trotting movie that you get lost in. In fact, it's quite boring.
Ken,
this movie's quite boring. Yes, Joel.
When does this movie come out?
This Friday.
Today, the day the BaconBit releases. It has already made $292 million worldwide. It hasn't even it releases the day of the. It'll be more by the time this.
Granted, in the U.S., people are spending less money on box office now. There's still a fear of theaters,
but it's already.
Whereas in China and Asian countries, they are spending a lot of money.
It is already. The day of its release, when this BaconBit comes out, the 4th highest grossing
disgusting
movie of 2021.
Yeah. So I'm jumping
it was
right.
Supposed to come out last year.
Yes.
It has already beaten A Quiet Place 2.
This
that makes you mad.
This may be top 2 most successful movies this year.
It's coming for Godzilla vs. Kong. Watch out.
Easily. So I'm getting right into the review. This is a boring movie. It starts off with a big action scene that you see in the trailer, and the physics are so good. They're so good, meaning they're so bad. You kind of have to respect it because the movie, it feels like it feels like a child playing with action figures. And he kind of just mashes them together. No one really gets hurt except for like the 9,000 bad guy army. And our main characters are fine. In fact, Tyrese in the movie even makes mention. He's like, and it's funny. It's because he's comic relief. He says, do you ever notice that we don't get hurt? That, we defeat all these people and we don't get a scratch on our bodies?
They call it out? They go meta?
They call it out. And I'm like, wait, this just went meta. But he's the only one that will. And they keep playing with that idea, but everyone ignores him. I'm like, no, I'm paying attention, Tyrese. I got your back. But that's like one of the few clever parts. And then it's really boring. It goes into so many flashbacks, which to me is lazy storytelling because they explain it and then they go into the flashback.
Oh.
Or they go into the flashback and they explain it to another character.
Like a Family Guy thing where it's like, hey, you remember that time when we drove across the Empire State Building?
Yes.
And then,
yeah. And so they have younger actors playing Jacob and Dom and showing the rift that happened between them. And it's like a blood feud almost. But the younger guy playing Jacob, John Cena, is like 2 feet smaller than the guy playing young Dom. And then he turns into John Cena in just a couple of years.
He ate his Wheaties.
Yeah, apparently that gives you like puberty part 2.
That was actually the original name for the cereal. And they said, no, let's go with Wheaties.
It's like P2,
yeah.
The Fast Saga. Anyways, it's a little ridiculous and boring because they go into these flashbacks. But the last 30 minutes, the climax of the movie, brings you where you need to be with this series. It's more akin to like they all kind of like the submarine scene from Fate of the Furious.
Yeah, the submarine under the ice.
It is the ridiculous moments where you're like, that's what I came to see. The movie knows what it is because it's so freaking dumb.
But what percentage of the movie is that what you came to see versus filler?
So the parts where, and I was sad, I was by myself, not sitting near anyone that I could just mock the movie with. Because
I'm sorry.
That's why you go to these movies, so you can laugh and say, oh my gosh, can you believe that just happened? I'm laughing and looking around, I'm like, I probably look like a crazy person, but I was only enjoying it for 25% of the movie. It's not a horrible movie. It's not Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, which was just hard to watch and gave me a headache. Mm-hmm. This one is just really mediocre and one of the worst movies in the series.
Currently, it's going at a 5.2 out of 10 on IMDb and a 62% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, it's not very good.
Yeah.
And it's a bummer because if you just took the intro scene, the intro 20 minutes, and the last 30 minutes, you'd have a really solid movie there of just dumb physics.
Yep.
And that's what you go to see. Otherwise, it's just flashbacks for so many characters that you just don't care about. I would give this one... I mean, there was enjoyment there. It would normally be like a D+, but I had a good time. It's probably a C- based on what the movie knows it is. Man. Yeah, I'm feeling quite generous here because I couldn't hate it like I did hate the Ryan Reynolds movie I just mentioned because it knows what it is eventually. And it says, here you go. If you've loved it so far, because I wasn't seeing this with the general audience. Normally I do. And normally I hear the laughs in the background and I judge people for it. Yep. But at least they're there because the movie knows who its audience is. So
we have to do this all the time. You have to know where this franchise came from. Do you remember what the big deal about the very first movie was?
People were still in DVD players.
DVD players.
From moving vehicles.
From punching, now we're punching torpedoes.
Yeah, and they're super cops saving the world.
Yeah.
They go to space. I'm sorry, I had to spoil it.
It's in the trailer.
They go to space in this movie. Space?
All right, let's get into the spoilers. Hold on. Wait. Let's get to the spoiler section.
Space. Outer space.
Spoiler section. You ready?
With a car.
Spoilers.
They go to outer space with a car with a rocket pack.
Now we can talk about that.
I don't get it.
Kent, we have the spoiler section for a reason.
Where did they go?
They go to space, Zach. Outer space. And it's Tyrese and Ludacris. Here's the weirdest thing. In this movie, I feel like no one likes Vin Diesel. Like, no one likes to work with him because it feels like either he's been green screened into scenes or they have. Because Tyrese and Ludacris, they always have scenes together and they're always off to the side telling jokes and kind of ribbing each other. The only people that Vin Diesel appears with is, well, John Cena, but you don't see him. But Michelle Rodriguez. And Michelle Rodriguez here probably plays like the strongest character here. She's the only character that is really kind of...
How much Michelle Rodriguez is in this movie?
A ton.
Can't she go back to being dead?
She should have died.
Jeez.
Yeah.
In the franchise, Zach.
And in Lost. That sounds real bad, though. But she should have died 70 times in this movie. In this movie, I think the F is not only flashbacks, it's physics, starting with an F.
Oh.
Because they don't know what physics are. You could fall from any height, maybe even outer space, and land on a hood of a car, and you'll be fine.
No. You're telling me, okay, we're into spoiler territory.
Yeah.
You're telling me a character literally falls from that high onto
Not
a hood
from
of a car,
outer space.
but from onto a hood of a car.
Oh, from any height, at any speed, as long as Vin Diesel or Dominic Toretto spins around and puts the car right where they would land,
Yeah.
they're fine.
Well, cars are basically airbags.
It's like a queen size mattress, basically, that you're landing on.
I mean, this is the same franchise, and I think that is Michelle Rodriguez and Vin Diesel.
Yes.
When she crashes her car and is flying off a bridge, and then he crashes his car so he can fly and grab her mid-fall.
They catch each other
and catch each other.
So many bones would have been broken, shoulders dislocated, everything. Yeah.
I just, that moment, I remember thinking, this is a ridiculous franchise.
Yeah. Imagine that, but he uses the car to catch people at any time.
Does he have a net on the car?
No net whatsoever. You don't need a net. So at the intro scene, you've seen this in the trailer, but he bungees off of an island. Anyways, he bungees in a car, and they don't test it or anything, but there's a bridge with only a wire hanging there, and he's like, we need to get away from these Apache helicopters that are trying to shoot rockets at us.
Didn't that happen in...
Of course it did, but it doesn't matter. Anyways, they drive into this wire. The wire wraps around the bumper of the car, and then they fly across this, rift, and the bumper doesn't fly off or anything, even though they're going so fast, and they should have died. And then they get to the other island, like they were island hopping, and then the helicopter's like, oh, it's fine. They're probably dead. It's fine. We'll just leave them there. The movie is so convenient, but it knows it at some points.
Is that the most ridiculous scene?
Oh, heavens no.
Can you tell us... There's a handful of ridiculous scenes. We're in spoiler territory. I don't care.
So they use magnets in this movie.
I don't think they understand how magnets work.
Oh, it's...
Because like in the movie, they're like pushing cars out and pulling them back in.
Yeah, it's a big part of the end because the villains... There's like a rich boy villain that's from some undetermined European country that wants to take over the world through a satellite that will determine where every missile would go. It's just like, it doesn't matter. It's like kind of like an old school James Bond idea. And then he uses the muscle, John Cena, who's been a super spy this entire time, who is responsible for killing Jacob Toretto, Dom's father. That's why there's a blood feud.
Jacob Toretto.
So Jacob,
and is the dad?
I think
the brother?
it's Jack. It's Jack Toretto. Actually, Jack's the dad. And the flashbacks go into he was a race car driver. He died in a crash, and so Dom blames his brother.
Well, Dom says he saw his dad burned to death.
Yeah, and he blames his brother.
Ah,
Like, I know what you did
last summer.
Family's the worst.
Forever.
So, anyways, where did I get to? The ridiculous,
ridiculous moments of the movie. I just want to know kind of some like.
Magnets are like it's vehicles that are much larger than you. It's like stopping it there. They pull like a Dark Knight stunt where they try to flip something the size of a semi truck, but this is like a war machine vehicle. And they flip that just using magnets from these two small sports cars, like a Charger, basically, like two Chargers. And
Kent, it's
go ahead.
Please, it's not like every action has an equal and opposite reaction.
Well, they do have magnets where they can reverse the polarity, right? Where they can pull things in or push them out, and they use that to kind of a cool extent. Like if you see this as like a video game. What they do here, it's fun to watch because they're driving through a small European town with narrow streets, and they're pushing cars, and the collateral damage is huge. Like it's fun to watch.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if a magnet pushes something, the same force is pushing against the magnet.
Yeah,
and so those little cars would be affected by it.
Yes,
they're moving, for crying out loud. They got wheels.
No,
how does the magnet not push them?
No, the one holding the magnet is fine and is immovable. It's okay. It's really strong, Joel.
All right, I have an issue with
so there's my favorite part is at the very end when they're going down. All of a sudden, they were in city streets and they're going down this giant hill, which is going to go into the ocean again because the ocean's always there and there's a cliff. And this vehicle, they finally commandeer this giant war vehicle, which is like this huge convoy vehicle that is immovable, even with magnets. Generally, it's rolling down sideways down a hill, like this log roll, and you're like, oh, who cares? It's just Vin Diesel's in there. But wait, he's got to survive, and and he's got to drive this thing away. How's he going to do it? Because it's rolling down a cliff. But it rolls and lands right on its tires, right on the side of the cliff, and that's right when Vin Diesel hits the e-brake and starts driving it as it's been rolling and starts driving forward. But that's okay because there's still Charlize Theron in her jet trying to shoot it down. I mean, everything here is just it just maximizes, and it keeps going and going, and it wants you to be entertained. And I couldn't stop laughing. Like, it worked because I was entertained this entire time. You don't care about a single thing that happens here because there are no stakes. The characters will never be hurt. So another great part. So Tyrese and Ludacris are in space, and they're wearing suits that like people would wear to go to the ocean in 1920.
Okay, yeah, right? Metal helmets.
Yeah, and that's the joke. They're like, "What are we doing? We're going to space." What, And they basically roll up or roll down the windows. Okay, it's fine.
In the car?
And they're trying to use magnets to destroy the satellite, which is going to take over the world's missiles. Okay, that's their part of the plan.
Okay.
And if they turn on the satellite, it will jam the frequency before it gets to 100%. And the bad guys can take over because it's that kind of movie. So the magnet's not working. So they're like, oh no, sorry, I'm ruining the movie for everyone.
That's fine.
Oh no, what do we do? If we try to we could try to drive into it in space. We could try to drive into it.
Drive into a satellite.
Drive into a satellite and destroy it. But then we might die. We may implode because we're just wearing these suits and we're in a Fiero, which is kind of funny, right? Or
what is the pressure differentiation between in space and inside a car?
They're in outer space, Joel. In a Fast and Furious movie,
are the vents sealed off or they have it on recirculate?
No, they flip them down.
Oh, okay.
So the air can't get in.
The plastic visors are flipped down. We're okay.
Zach, do you have any questions about outer space?
Nope. It all makes perfect sense. Visors in space.
So they don't know what to do, and they're like, well, if we use the fuel, and we won't be able to make it back into the atmosphere. Like, that's what they're worried about. And they're like,
fuel or not?
So exactly, because they're like, well, what do we do? And they're like, well, this is our last moment. Let's live it up. Let's drive. And they flip the switch and hit the space NOS. And they drive right into the satellite and destroy it. They survive, of course.
How do they survive?
Because they drive to an international space station.
Wait. Hold on. Wait.
I'm sweating right now.
Wait, they crashed into it, but their car was fine?
Yeah, it was fine.
I thought it was a whole big thing.
But their suits did blow up a little bit, like they were kind of inflated. That's the joke.
And then they drive to the international
Their broke down car drifted to an international space station.
How did they port with the international space
you don't
station?
need to see that.
I kind of do.
The movie doesn't show you because then they're at the end of the movie at the barbecue at the end, because there's always a barbecue at the end of a Fast and Furious movie.
So they didn't have to wait until the next
and it's always at Vin Diesel's rebuilt house.
Were they still up in space, or did they get a ride immediately, or did they have to wait till the next
It never shows you. It never shows you, Joel.
How'd they get down from space?
All they say is, it's nice to eat real food because all you did was eat Tootsie Rolls up in the space station. That's the joke. Space NOS. I can't do it. I can't do it anymore, guys.
There's 2 more, apparently. You got to do this twice more.
Also,
how long will this go, Kent? How long?
So there were actually plans, I'm not kidding you, of making a combined, and this is what, if they stopped doing the Jurassic Park continuation they're doing with Dominion pretty soon, they were going to do a Jurassic Park Fast and Furious combination. And honestly,
that would be dumb fun.
Everyone would see it. I think they're all going to get space cars pretty soon. I think aliens are going to attack, and I think that will happen next with the series. Maybe not in the next movie, but in 2 movies.
What phase of the MCU is this?
Honestly, they have done so much, and they've come so far where Vin Diesel has saved the planet so many times. He used to steal DVD players.
Yeah.
And this is what he's doing.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, Han comes back. They show this in the trailer, and they say, like, how did you survive? Because we saw you die in 2 previous movies.
Yeah.
Because Jason Statham killed him.
Yeah.
But then they don't explain it whatsoever. They don't explain it. It's so stupid. I kind of hate this movie, but I love it for it at the same time.
Okay.
Because I'm like incredulous at what happened. So,
would you recommend people see it then?
No. In fact, I've told people, I'm like, oh, you haven't seen 8 out of the 9 movies? Or, 7 or whatever, you've only seen 1 movie? Don't see this. But if you enjoy this kind of like trash, this fun trash, go see it, because you've seen them all. You know what the joke is. But it's no Fast 5. Like, as far as like quality and consistently entertaining you based on its pacing of fun, that movie nails it. 7 is also pretty decent.
Is Fast 5 the one that they dragged the safe around?
It is, yes. That's the first one where The Rock comes in and there's that whole rivalry. I think 7 is also pretty fun. That's one with Jason Statham and the nice send off. This one does not have the pacing. It's just too boring, and the flashbacks ruin everything, but the end slays it.
Okay.
So, and there is a mid-credit stinger, which is pointless. It's so stupid.
What is it?
It's Jason Statham, and Han shows up because
he's not in the movie.
Yeah, he's not in the movie until the end, and then it's like Han shows up. Are they going to fight? Are they working together as moles? I don't know. Does anyone care?
Wait, it shows just them walking the room, and then that's it?
Yeah, that's it.
What the heck is wrong with this franchise?
Yeah. It knows what it's doing. It's made $300 million already.
Well,
Space Nos.
It's
outer space, Joel.
Let us know if you've seen F9 or if you enjoy the franchise. If you plan on seeing F9, well, of course, you listened all the way to the end, which means you don't care about spoilers. But let us know what you think of Space Nos. We want to know on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And thank you for listening to this review of F9: The Twilight Saga.
They go to space. They go to space in this movie. Space? Space. Outer space.
Spoiler section. You ready?
With a car. They go to outer space with a car with a rocket pack.
Now we can talk about that.
I don't get it.
Where did they go? Where did they go?
They go to space, Zach. Outer space.